Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Burn the Ship. I have my new friend here, Sean. I'm not going to introduce you yet. I ain't going to steal your thunder. But this is the podcast where we connect professionals with entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs being you guys, the professionals that can help you go all in on your business, being our guest. Sean's got a lot for us today, a lot of information. Definitely sees both sides of the coin as far as having the day job, being in a corporate position, as well as being an entrepreneur, really pushing the agenda of a brand. So you have a lot of experience. We look forward to learning something too. Why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are and what you do?
All right, my name is Sean Grant. I own a company called Trackstarz. There's a lot to say about that, but essentially it's a media company. We also do business services. That was kind of our foundation. And then it kind of grew into a radio show, podcast, TV show. Now we started doing films. Sure. So it's grown over the last 16 years now. So that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for the last 16, 20 years.
So kind of tell me a story there. You're an engineer by trade, right? And so where is the birth of Trackstarz? where does that come from?
So I was at Georgia Tech.
Love it.
And I was getting my electrical engineering degree. But I met my business partner now. His name is Ryan Moore. And he was working at Radio 1 Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
So it was Hot 107.9. They had a jazz station, gospel station, whatever, right? And at the time, I had started doing spoken word, so poetry, that kind of thing. And I was doing shows, it's called Destinations, and there was like 300 people per show, 600 people per show. And I had been doing that, and I became the leader of Destinations. And we were doing a show, and I met Ryan, and he was asking me, did I want an internship at Radio 1? I was like, hey, sure, wow, let's do it. So I went and got an internship there, and I was doing their website. I was helping do their web development. And while I was there, we were seeing, how the industry kind of worked. It's based off of ads, and you have to get attention, and how the whole business, that whole thing goes. And, we were going to shows, putting flyers up in strip clubs and all that kind of thing. But we had a church background. So we were like, okay, how do we take this format and bring it into more of the faith-based space? Because at the time, hip hop in that space wasn't, I feel bad, but it wasn't good. It was okay. There were some bright spots, but it wasn't organized. It wasn't as polished, right?
Sure.
So we had a vision to take what we learned in the mainstream industry and take it over to where we wanted to make an impact, right? So in my dorm room, me and my partner dreamed up the whole idea of Trackstarz and what it was about. Since we were working at Radio 1, we had access to their studio. Sure. At the time, I was editing commercials for famous DJ, Simon Baby. So I kind of learned how to edit and, where mics should be placed and sound and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was getting the hang of that. And we just birthed it right there in their studio. We stole a bunch of their drops. The voice, this is the radio voice. We took a couple of those, for our podcast. But yeah, man, the people there supported us and it was great. So we started it there, came up with the name and everything, and we started on MySpace. So this was, we put it together like what they call an air check, 5-minute sample snippet of your show, right? So people can get a sense of what you're going to be when you have a full-length show. And then we got a gig at Clark Atlanta in their student-run station, and then we had 4 hours. They said, hey, here's 4 hours Sunday morning. You do whatever you want to do. That's a lot of time to kill.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of time to kill. So we had to come up with all kinds of topics and interviews and whatever just to kind of get our feet wet. And that was a great time for us because we learned how to be a radio show during that time. And one segment we came up with was called Line for Line during that time. And that was what kind of blew up. Line for Line is basically, so we're in the faith-based space, so most people don't really know those artists. Like some people know like Lecrae and NF, people like that. But, most people know the Jay-Z's, the Kanye's, the so-and-so. So our idea was if we want them to know our artists, why don't we pair them up against, now it's popular because of verses. You'll see artists go up against each other. But we came up with the idea to do it ourselves, right? And that segment just exploded. Like our biggest video is over 700,000 now on YouTube. And that kind of catapulted us into getting, attention from other brands and getting invited to conferences and things like that. So that was kind of like the foundation of how we started. And me having the tech background, I was developing our website, I was developing our mobile app, I was designing tools to help, because I was an artist myself. So I knew kind of the struggle of being an independent artist. It's very difficult to kind of get traction and get attention. So I was designing tools that, I wish I had when I was younger, and I was letting other people use those. So we started a distribution company. Like, it just kind of just grew over the years. Like, what else can we do to help? What else can we do to help? And we just kept adding it. So that's kind of how we got going with the Trackstarz brand.
So tell me a little bit about your why. Like, tell me what really started that. Hey, I really want to make this specific space more popular.
Honestly, being at Radio One, we went to those big concerts, and they had like equivalent to like a summer jam, like where it's like a ton of people there. And me and my business partner Ryan, we would just sit there and like, man, this is not really helpful. Like, the music wasn't edifying in any kind of way. It wasn't. Sure. It was kind of degrading. It was degrading to women. It was all kinds of things. So we were like, we want this environment to be more positive. How do we do that? How do we inject positivity and more of a just uplifting atmosphere into venues like this? So that's kind of what our why is. It's like, at the time, that kind of content wasn't accepted in those spaces. There's been other artists that have tried to break into those spaces, and they kind of get rejected, tossed to the side,
Sure.
So our vision was to say, okay, I think we can make something just as popular with just as many people showing up, just as many record sales, but it'd be positive. Mm-hmm. You're starting to see the fruit of that now, like, Chance the Rapper and
Sure.
Kanye started doing some stuff, and the artists are starting to move towards more of a positive
Sure.
form of hip hop. That was what we saw back then. So that's the why is getting
Sure.
that more into the mainstream, more into the front. So we turn on the radio, kids, because I started when I was 19. It's just constant negativity all the time.
Right.
So
what'd you say? 16 years, 14 years?
16
So 16 years from inception to where you are now. And you have this unique set of skills, by the way, which is like you kind of see things from a very creative angle, while you have these this ability to kind of make something out of nothing with the tech side of things.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of create that look and feel of a piece of technology, which is a super unique set of skills, because we talk to developers all the time that you have to have a certain level of creativity for that, but they have to kind of have that picture painted for them. When you can combine that, I have my own innate creativity with I have these set of skills.
Yeah.
You get a really unique concoction there, honestly.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, how have things changed? 16 years in, where are you today? Like, where are you guys headed? I know you said you've done some really diverse things with your brand. You have a podcast, you had the radio show, you guys have all these different media outlets that you guys are putting content out through. Where are you headed?
Well, when we started, we had 50 listeners max, right? We'll get on that 4-hour show, turn on the mics, and our mom was listening, our friends were listening, but it wasn't anything. Now we have a listener base over 1 million, right?
Right.
And that's just been slow growth over time, and just adding infrastructure. Because I'll say for the first 10 years, we didn't make a dime. It was all just off of, we saw a vision, we wanted to get to it. But
was the content good in your eyes, looking back?
I'm critical, because I was doing all the graphic design. I was doing, I could hear things that I know now, mic quality, soundproofing in the room, better lenses on the cameras.
Right.
We were just talking before the show, having clean HDMI out and not having that 30-minute time limit that shuts your camera off automatically. So there's things that I would have done better if I knew, but I think the core of who we were was good. We were sending a good message, and it just got better as we went along.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So tell me kind of, how do we take, we have a lot of people in our audience as they're listening right now. And it seems like what you've done well is take that brand and understand your why. First of all, you understand your why very, very well, and you understand really you kind of reverse engineered it of, here's what we want the outcome to be, and we see the vision of how to make this a real thing.
Yeah.
How do we teach these people in the audience that level of creativity that you have to have as an entrepreneur, that brainstormer that you have to be? What were some of the steps that you guys took? Like, what were some of those action steps? How did you guys get started, and how do we kind of teach people how to kind of see their brand come to life?
Yeah, I would say we kind of had to be creative because this wasn't like some lucrative business that we were like, oh, we can make money here. Let's figure out how to make money.
Right.
It was, we see a problem we need to fix and we need money to fix it. So let's figure out how to make money that way. So we were basically trying to, get oil out of a dry field. It wasn't like no-brainer business decision, right? So I had to be creative and solve problems. So we kept running into obstacles, and it's like, okay, well, we could quit, or I could figure out a different way, right? So I think you really have to have a mindset of problem solving. Don't let anything be the final nail, unless it's, you have to. Like, there's certain moments where you have to say, this is not working, gotta move on.
Sure.
But I think there's so many ways to do things different. Like, so for instance, we were putting up music on SoundCloud. It was one of our outlets. But because that line for line segment, we're using clips from songs, we got kicked off of SoundCloud. So it was like, okay.
The old copyright.
Exactly, right? So we got kicked with that. So the alternative was, okay, well, we could put it on YouTube because YouTube has content ID. They'll put ads on it, but you can still use it depending on.
You can put it up there.
Exactly.
You ain't gonna make the money, but
you're not gonna make the money, but you can still get the exposure,
Sure.
which is half the battle, right? And we were using our SoundCloud to put independent artist music up. So because Line for Line shut down our platform, we couldn't do that anymore for the artists, which was fine, right? They gave us permission. So I was like, well, we can't use SoundCloud. Why don't I just make one? So I just figured out how to make SoundCloud. So I designed a basically replica of SoundCloud, and now our artists get posted to that. And going through that process of, oh man, oh no, what are we gonna do? That was the best way for us to, and then sitting there and being like, why don't I just do it?
Yeah.
And just realizing that there's no obstacle that you can't overcome if you put some thought to it.
What is that user base like for that piece of technology? How did that kind of get incorporated into the business?
Well, so I went to a conference called with this company called Plywood People, right? And their whole thing is helping businesses that want to do good in the world, right? And the leader of it, Jeff Schinnebacher, he challenged me. He said, I love what you're doing, but you could be doing way more. This business should be $100,000 business plus. And he challenged me. He said, figure out how to do that. And the concept he taught me was the funnel, right? We had a popular podcast, but we weren't selling anything.
Converting.
We weren't offering them anything to buy, right? And he's like, look, you got the hardest part figured out. You get the attention, right? You get the attention you need. Now, there's probably a ton of people in your audience that would love to support. They want to get something from you, but you don't have anything to offer.
Right.
So he helped me build those layers of that funnel. So it's like, you're actually probably making people upset that they can't support you. So it's like, offer them something cheap, right? So we came up with a $5 membership so people can be a part of our
Your Patreon
team.
before Patreon.
And people were like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And I'm like, what? I didn't know people cared that much, And then we offered, okay, if you're an artist, we have a distribution. I designed a distribution company. Boom. They love that. And then we were like, okay, well, what about this? And he just said, just build out this funnel.
Solve one problem at a time until you work.
Exactly. And when we did that, then we were like, oh, okay, well then this can be a business. Like it can thrive. So that's how that kind of started getting legs, where I realized, okay, we have to turn this into a real business. It can't be just, if it needs to be a nonprofit, let's make it a nonprofit. But if it can be a real for-profit business, let's figure it out.
It's beautiful. See, we're kind of, I wouldn't say the opposite of that, because obviously we're running parallel for such a long period of time. But being a sales company and being a B2B company, we see so much of the payment side of business. Like, I know how much this client did in credit card processing this September versus last September. Like, you just see things trending in the industry where you learn about things. So we understood the funnel. So we understood listenership, we understood viewership, we understood YouTube pretty good. We hired a guy that was really well versed in those things. But the owner of my company specifically, one of the things that he does, because he's so used to that B2B sales type of mentality, is like, if you take that same analogy as the funnel, he's only staring at the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, we've got a it's all good. We've got a funnel the size of the thing that you slide down in whitewater, and we're pouring, we're pouring a syringe of water in it a day. Like, you can't stare at the bottom of the funnel. You know what I mean? We've got to put good content, understand our listener, really understand our demographic and who our audience wants to be, and build content to reflect what that brand is going to be. And then we worry about the bottom of the funnel.
Start with why.
Exactly. I almost love that way of like, let's see how big we can get it without expecting a single dollar for X years. Yeah. And then let's flip the switch on the revenue side of things, because that builds the strongest brand.
That was the Facebook model. Yeah.
Right.
It was like,
exactly.
Keep it cool as long as possible, because ads will make it not cool. That was his thing. And it's like, there's a point where you have to start doing that, because you can't survive like that forever.
Yeah.
But
he said we're having the hottest party on the block. You want to close the party at 11 o'clock. He said, I'm trying to fund the party, Mark. He said, I'm paying for the party. Yeah, that's an awesome movie and an awesome story in itself. But I actually even love that more. You create the brand, you solve your problem, and let that dictate what your value is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We were willing, because ours wasn't like profit motivated. We were able to figure out what was the best suited for our audience before we start worrying about money. But then, of course, like if we have this vision that we believe is a good vision, you have to pay for it. I was paying for it out of my day job, like we talked about earlier. Like I still have my day job that I use as I'm my own investor, right? So I put that money into it until I got married, and then my wife was like, "You got." Find that money somewhere else, but I need that for me. So then I was like, okay, how do I make this make its own money? And that was really the thing, was when I got my own family, it was like, okay, I can't keep just dumping all my money into this thing. It has to live on its own. And that's when things started changing. For sure. Yeah, it's an exciting place to be, because we're almost we're at a similar road now. We're kind of where the rubber meets the road, worked with Burn the Ships, Soup Sandwich. Like we kind of use some of the same things, as like, what skills do we have? How can we solve problems? We started doing, and we have a huge network of businesses. It's like, can we do commercials for businesses? What type of businesses will we seek out for sponsorship for both of our brands to make this kind of offset some of the costs? Because really everything for me are these interactions, the Burn the Ship interactions, the business interactions. It's, I can't wait to ask you, who else do you know that I can do these interviews with? Because building a diverse network is everything of value in my business. So like, why first? The biggest thing, and if I think there's anything skill wise that is the hardest to develop, even when you sit down, like I said, I play pool. I've joined this pool league, and I was like, sometimes it's just 10 people can tell you the same thing, and when the 10th person tells it to you, they say it in a way that you hear it. I hope everyone in business can find that someone that makes you understand your why in such a clear way that you start to pave that path over your own, that you drill straight through hills and you build bridges over valleys, that you just start to figure it out. Well, I just want to commend you guys. I mean, when I talked to you on the phone and I realized what you guys were doing, it's amazing that you're giving businesses an opportunity to represent themselves, but also you're meeting people face to face, to where you can, it's not just, you want to use our services. It's like, no. Let's figure out how to help each other and grow and especially like this area, Ackworth, Kennesaw, Atlanta, and then beyond and beyond. Like, this is brilliant. So I just want to commend you guys. You're doing a great job.
That, man. Somebody's got to show a little support to the backyard.
Absolutely.
So, well, tell me this. I know you got to get out of here, so I want to ask you a couple more things. How do the people that are listening get a hold of you? If they want to talk to you, they want to ask you questions, how do they find you?
Man, please go to trackstarz.com. And see everything we're doing. We have our main thing is Trackstarz, of course. It's like Christian hip hop. So that may not be your thing. I understand that, but just take a look at what we're doing and understand what my brain is doing. There's creativity in there, and there's opportunities in there for everybody because we do business services. Like I said, when we started, the only way I was able to generate any kind of income was I was doing websites and apps for like local businesses, like the Mercedes dealership, or there was a local minor league football team. We would do stuff for them. So that's the core, right? So that's available. You don't just have to be a fan of what we do to get something out of it. And also, our passion is helping independent artists. So if you know an artist or you play guitar on the side or whatever, we our main competitor is DistroKid. So if you know anything about the independent music game, that's who we're going after. So support us in any way. But to find us, you can email me, Sean, SEAN, at Trackstarz. Trackstarz has a Z at the end instead of a S. Or you can we're Trackstarz everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, everything. So you can always find us. We do our live show every Saturday, noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to see us. We're funny. We're controversial. You may not like everything we say, but everybody gets to say what they want to say. So check us out.
Where is it at?
It's on YouTube,
Okay, cool.
youtube.com/Trackstarz. Yep.
Okay,
live.
cool. I'll check it out.
So we'll come back live next Saturday. It's our first this year.
Okay,
first show this
cool.
year.
Well, I'm excited. I'll come check it out. The last question I have for you here. We're sitting in front of a bunch of people in the audience that they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to own their own business. Maybe they're in the corporate position. They want to buy a business. Maybe they're owning a business and they're in those first couple of years and they're figuring it out. What was it like for you to burn the ship? Like, what was it like for you to go all in on your business and say, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to develop this mentality of solving problems until I get what I want out of the solution that I'm building. What would you say to those people that are kicking the ball around saying, should I go all in on my business? Should I dedicate my time to solving this specific problem?
I don't know if I'm dedicated or stubborn, but either way, it works out to be, if I set my mind on something.
Not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. If I set my mind on something, I'm driven to get it done, right? So I would say that if you have your why and you feel like, man, I need to do this, and I hope that you could find that passion for it. But once I got the passion for it and I saw the end, like I could see what it could be, man, there was nothing stopping me, right? Like, so you have to have that determination to say, I'm going to figure this out. And it may not look the way you thought it would look. You may have to do some things that weren't exactly what you had planned. But if you have that drive and you're an entrepreneur, right? Not everybody is. My wife does not like the concept of entrepreneurship. She likes the stability of a job. She's changing though. She has some thoughts that I believe is going to lead her to that. But you have to know, like, it's risky, it's scary. But it's rewarding if you stick to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually asked a guy that question on this podcast one day about what is it like to go all in on your business? What would you say to those people that are kicking that back and forth? And he looked me right in my eyes and he told me, if there's any way for you to be happy and fulfilled and gratified in your life without all the stress of running your own business, do that. If you have no other choice because somewhere it is buried in you that you have to run your own business, run your own business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's definitely a give and a take.
Yeah.
It's like that sound on TikTok that says, I didn't want to work a 9 to 5, so I started my own business and now I work all the time. Like, it's definitely a give and take. There's a lot of work to business.
It's definitely not to get away from stress. It's more stressful.
Cool. Well, I appreciate all your insight, man. I hope that people can take all this, take something away from this podcast. I would love to have you back. I can't wait to check out your show on Saturday. And we'll share it. We'll share it to the audience and let them check it out and everything. Like I said, I think you guys are doing something cool, man. I think that we are acorns that fell off two different sides of the same tree. We're in a little bit different demographic and direction, but we're doing a lot of the same things, man. And I hope to kind of aspire to get as good at it as you. So.
Hey, make sure you guys like and subscribe, support Burn the Ship, because I don't think you guys know how much that helps. If you're watching and you kind of just glance, like, subscribe, even if you never look again, that like and subscribe tells YouTube to show the video to more people. So go and do that right now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, we're out of here. If you got anything else you want to tell them, let me know. Otherwise, till next time.
Yeah, keep working hard. It'll come around. If you work hard long enough, everybody else that's in your way will quit. And then you'll be the only thing left. So just keep working hard.
All right, burn the ship.